What is up, y'all? It's your girl, Brand New, and I'm back in the building. I did a part 1 of the Monique situation, and I accidentally stopped it, and I meant to pause it, so I had a little technical issue, but y'all know ain't shit gonna stop me. We will resume right where we left off, because there is a point that I do want to make with this whole Monique Netflix situation and her husband addressing Charlemagne. So let's listen to some more of this, and then I can wrap this whole thing up.
And they could not explain that.
Well, if you're just joining us, that's Sydney. That's Monique's managing husband. If you're just joining us, so you can, you know the voices.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I want you to go ahead.
Well, I don't think Amy Schumer is funny. That's number one. But she did sell out 50 arenas around the world, including MSG, and HBO wanted her as well. So she created a bidding war based on those stats. So I assume that's the reason her number was at that place.
Well, I want to address something because you said, I assume. And then you also said in the beginning when you start talking, you said, Monique is a legend. That's what you said.
Absolutely.
Right?
So Monique is a legend, but Monique shouldn't ask for what she wants because she is a black woman. Really listen to this, you guys. Really listen to Charlemagne and other people that say that Monique is a legend and, she doesn't really deserve, to get as much as these other people or even something in the middle,
And then when Robbie Prohl and Netflix also says, Monique is a legend, correct?
Absolutely.
And you believe that Chris Rock is a legend, as I do as well.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And you would say Dave Chappelle is a legend, right?
Absolutely.
What makes me a different legend from Dave Chappelle and Chris Rock?
That you are a black woman, Monique, and we could pretty much end it right there. You are a black woman, and unfortunately a lot of black men like Charlemagne, like I stated before, you guys, they don't feel that Monique is on the level of these men. Not so much of their work ethic, because remember motherfucking Dave Chappelle took all that time off, and Chris Rock, he ain't popping all the time either. Yes, he probably still does travel and do stand-up, but I'm not really the huge comedy it's not like I'm somewhere tracking them down, to go. So I'm not really a fan of theirs all like that. I won't take anything from them. I'm more of a Monique fan, but everybody is missing from the game in different aspects. I don't really be hearing too much about them. I don't keep up with them, but I also don't hear too much big about them, until really this situation came up.
Well, when it comes to that Netflix special, the fact that Dave Chappelle did 1,500 shows prior to signing his Netflix deal. Chris Rock was on tour with the Total Blackout Tour, selling our shows arenas around the world before they did that Netflix
And they also
deal.
lured him away from HBO.
Well, I understand what y'all are coming to the table with. When I came to the table and I said, guys, and I said it humbly, I'm the most decorated comedian alive. And I said that humbly. Mm-hmm. And then some people said, oh, Monique is crazy, till it was proven. Till everybody actually saw the numbers and said, well, I guess she's right about that. And when you say this is a what have you done for me lately, the question is, how much more do I have to do, brother?
Do y'all see what she just said right there? That's exactly what I was talking about. How much more do you have to do? And the fact of the matter is, I don't know. It's just like she's already did a lot and people are shitting on it. It means nothing because she's into it with Oprah, Lee Daniels, Tyler Perry. It just means nothing. It doesn't mean anything to a lot of black men. It's unfortunate, but that's how they see her. And she shouldn't have to keep proving herself. This is not slavery. Our people fought so we could have opportunities, and we're still not being given the same opportunities as white people. It's just the fact of the matter. It is what it is.
Because when you do a film called Almost Christmas, and that film has a $17 million budget,
And see, nobody cares about the Almost Christmas film because they feel like, well, that wasn't just Monique. That was an ensemble cast. But still, that was a movie that she starred in and was a part of, and it made a lot of money. Nobody cares about that, though.
But it makes $45 million. And then my sister Amy Schumer does a film called Snatched. And that film makes $45 million. But it has a budget of $42 million. Now, what's the profit on that? I'm asking the question.
Yours made a lot more profit than Amy's.
Well,
did.
it was actually a $25 million profit.
Mm-hmm. But that movie, Amy did her Netflix deal before Snatch.
No, because
Right.
he said, Robbie Paul said that was what made him also give it a deal because of the big movie that she had coming out.
You see that? The big movie that Amy Schumer had coming out. It was coming out. It ain't that she already did it. Monique already did This Christmas. She already did the movie, not This Christmas. What is it? Almost Christmas. Y'all know the damn movie she was in. But you see what I'm saying? How they keep trying to deflect and make a point and be on the side of this white woman, you know. And I know I'm going to have people say, well, you making this a white-black issue, and that's not the case all the time. That's always the motherfucking case. Open your eyes, you black motherfuckers. Open your eyes and really see things for what it is. The bitch ain't even did the movie yet, but was offered a whole bunch of money just because the motherfucker was coming out. The anticipation of it. I don't know who anticipating her non-funny ass, but you know what I'm saying. She's the right color and it's the right time, and you know, it is what it is.
Right.
And that's where we had to check.
Well, coming out. That was but she did the Netflix deal before that movie came out.
Well,
No.
we actually talked to the vice president of Netflix, Leonard.
Right.
And
So
what
my
happens
point-
is when you're basing off of what you're assuming, and then you give me a title of Donkey of the Day. Is your mother still alive?
Yes, ma'am.
And you're from what city in South Carolina?
Monk's Corner.
Get his motherfucking ass, Monique. I'm here motherfucking for it.
South Carolina.
Monk's Corner. And if I was to call your mother or your grandmother, could they tell me stories of inequality that they had to deal with?
Absolutely.
So would your mother be a donkey?
No.
Would your grandmother be a donkey?
No.
I need you to explain how you gave me the title because you're not explaining it. You're going off of what I assume. But because you're on that microphone, and when we open up these microphones, we know just how powerful our voices can be, don't we, Angela?
Yeah.
And y'all remember that Dame Dash clowned Charlemagne for being a chatty patty and all that gossip shit that he does, speaking out the side of his ass and not having the facts on things, you know. So Monique is not the first person to clown his ass. I actually really love the Damon Dash interview because he really checked their asses. You know, they act high and mighty, especially Charlemagne. He acts like he knows everything. He's the one that's going to be risque and say whatever the fuck he wants to say. And I like how Monique and Sydney, especially Monique, really got into his ass, looking his ass dead in the eye and saying, nigga, what else is you saying? What else you got to say? You know, so Charlemagne didn't even have all the facts. And if you go give somebody donkey of the day, then you may want to know what the fuck you're talking about first.
Yes, we do.
And we know that what we say can become law. Correct, Leonard?
Absolutely.
So when we do that, we must then explain it to our community because we know how poisonous it can be when we put things out, but we can't back it up. We just say it.
I think that I think everything you're saying about racial bias is absolutely correct. Gender bias is absolutely correct.
See how he's backpedaling?
We know that the black woman is unappreciated and undervalued in a lot of different industries, but I think that...
See, this motherfucker is saying, well, we know that. And look, he said that like, I don't know. He said that like he was turning a channel on the TV like it was nothing. Like, we just know what the black woman has been through. And it's pretty much, he sees it as a narrative. He doesn't really see it as a problem that needs to be fixed. And he doesn't plan on taking responsibility for his words and his actions that perpetuate this situation. See, when we have people like Charlemagne that get on these platforms and sit up here and say, well, no, Monique, you ain't did none recent. No, they want to sit up here and, like I said, you guys, sidetrack on the issue. They want to turn shit around, and they don't want to deal with the racial and gender bias issue head on. They want to turn it into, well, no, you ain't did nothing lately, but her fucking resume speaks for itself. I'm pretty sure if she was a black man, he probably would, want to hear what he had to say and would believe the black man, because he's a man. That's how a lot of these men think. Unfortunately, these black men, they see us as being under them. We're not their equal. That's why there's a lot of people not even getting married now. They don't really feel like that love is really out there. Like, you guys, I can go on and on with this shit, and I probably will cover it in another podcast on why I feel like a lot of people don't want to get married or not married. The most loyal couples was back in the day, actually, when we had slavery, where people were married and were a family and cared about maintaining the black family. They cared more about that shit back in the day than they do now. Now it's about fitting in and, I want my child to look mixed, and I want this to look a certain way, and, I want to play the fool and the fiddle for the white man. I can go on and on with this shit.
When it comes to this Netflix situation, it's very specific.
Oh, when it comes to the Netflix situation, it's specific. No, it's not, motherfucker. It's the same thing. You keep trying to change the channel, but it's the same thing that happens in every industry. And you sitting up here, no, the Netflix, no. He doesn't want to deal with the issue, and that's pretty much it.
I think it's more of an individual thing than it is a collective problem. Like, can you honestly
ask you?
Okay, he says it's more of an individual thing than a collective problem, but then he just sat up there and said that we all know the struggle of the black woman and this, that, and the third. Now, isn't that a collective problem that a lot of black women go through? See, how do you fix your mouth to say one thing in 1 minute and then the next thing, 10 minutes before, and he is not making any sense. And anybody that takes his ass seriously is a fool.
Is this, can you say, if it's an individual problem, how come that there are no individuals of color who happen to be female comedians that have had the multiple $1 million paydays with Netflix? Because what happens with the black community, it's what have you done lately? But when you are a white person in this industry, it's you're only as good as your last project.
And we can go into, and I know a lot of people will say this does not, these two issues don't compare, but we can pretty much look at Bill Cosby and that whole rape thing with him. Remember what he went through? And Bill Cosby is a very powerful black man in Hollywood. No matter about the rape situation and the drugging and all of that, still very powerful black man. I heard he was going to take over NBC. And we had a lot of people that didn't want him to do that. So that's where a lot of this shit began coming from. If you look at Russell Simmons, another powerful black man. Now, I'm not saying that these black men are perfect. They probably made mistakes back in the day when they were just getting started with the drugs and the women, this, that, and the third. But my thing is this. Punish their motherfucking asses when they are doing that shit. Not millions of years later. Not 20 and 30 years later. Okay? That's what really pisses me off. Meanwhile, you have people like Charlie Sheen that has HIV and possibly was spreading this shit. They didn't drag his motherfucking ass down. When these white people do things, they can do shit and get away with it. Look at a Kim Kardashian. Do you think for one fucking second that if Beyonce acted like Kim Kardashian, she would be respected? Look at the fucking porno girl, Pinky. For those of you that may watch porn, Pinky is another one. Do you think that people respect Pinky. No, she's a fat, nasty ass bitch, you know, but yet they will look up to a Kim Kardashian. They'll look up to a Khloe Kardashian. You may say, well, Khloe don't have a sex tape, but you know what I'm saying. She's bouncing around from all these black dicks that play basketball. You know, that whole Kardashian family, if you really look at them, they are always what? And a lot of people say, well, they're not stealing other people's men. These men will be with black women and all of a sudden they're with the fucking Kardashian because they feel like white is right. All of this shit all coincides to how white people get away with everything. They can get away with murder. But with black people, you have to stand strong. Defend yourself against your own people. Defend this, say that, just to get people to listen to you. So if I was Monique, I would be uber frustrated with even responding to some of these fucking questions because it's just ridiculous.
I thought it was drawing power. I thought it was
exactly
the amount of people that will watch your special.
Do you think this is specific to comedians? Because I do know they've given out multi-million-dollar deals to Ava DuVernay, Shonda Rhimes. So you think it's specific to the comedy industry?
Well, I'll let you answer it. What black female comedian got the multi-million-dollar deal? Name me.
Nobody.
I know.
Well, don't you think it's coming? I'm sure Tiffany Haddish will be presented with something.
Why should Tiffany Haddish get anything in the multi-millions? And I'm not knocking her, you guys, but she's not funny as Monique. Come on, let's be clear. She's funny. She was funny in Girls Trip, but it was the type of funny of my girl. There's a different funny with people. Monique is funny in the, you see what the fuck I'm saying, I'm the black woman. It is what it is. You know, Monique is funny in an intellectual way of making you think and stop what you're doing. And she's so smart on how she talks about different topics. You know, this, that, and the third. She's older than Tiffany Haddish. Tiffany Haddish is just new. And this is what they do in these industries. A lot of times, you know, like even with rappers, and I was just telling my boyfriend this, I believe last weekend when we watched the Tupac film again. Tupac is so much better than a lot of the artists that's out now. A lot of the artists that's out now are all watered down. So you're sitting up here, well, Tiffany Haddish may get it. Charlemagne, why? Why would she get multi-million when the bitches before her can't even get it? That's a problem. Oh, it's all about being new and relevant. Black people, don't you dare fucking kid yourself about how we need to be new and relevant. So because Nelson Mandela is dead, he's not relevant. Because Michael Jordan is not playing basketball, he's not relevant. Because Richard Pryor is dead, Red Fox, Robin Harris, because they're dead, they're not relevant. Because Della Reese is dead, she's not relevant. Because Aaliyah and Tupac are dead, they're not relevant. You know, they're not. They made such an impact on music. You know what I'm saying? So it's funny how in the black community we throw people away when they're dead or when they may not be the most popular celebrity. Tiffany Haddish is popular. That does not, just because you're popular doesn't mean you're popping. She's popular, she's younger. So why the fuck should she get millions and millions of dollars? In my opinion, I'm not trying to be funny. She's not funny like that. It's the silly funny. She's a step up from Kevin Hart. It's the silly over, like, I'm really putting 20 on 10 type funny. She's that type of funny. You know, where you got that turned up girlfriend is acts crazy and says crazy shit. And don't get me wrong, she has good timing. You know, she is a certain level of funny, but why the fuck should she get something and she hasn't really proven herself? You know what I'm saying? And I have an issue with that. And I can go back into another situation where at a workplace, they had this new girl coming in and they began giving the bitch my hours. I've been at the company for 4 years. I've proven myself. You know, what more do I need to do? But no, they gave the bitch my hours because she was new, because she was picking up shifts. So we'll just give you Brandy shit. You know, Brandy's been here and we take her for granted. We'll give her, you know, You can have Brandy shit since you're new and you're popping, and meanwhile the bitch ain't proved herself. Because to me, in order to really prove yourself, you need to have staying power in the game, and you need to be doing shit for years, not just coming in, oh, you pick up a few shifts. Because what if the bitch quit within 6 months? Then what? That's the same thing with this comedy situation, and I'm upset that they're not even getting it.
If she hasn't already.
Well, but we got to speak about the sisters that's done it.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
See, Wanda Sykes is number 100 on Comedy Central's top comedians ever.
Number 70.
I'm sorry, Daddy, number 70 on the top 100 ever. But they offer her 250. So what do you say to that, Leonard?
Well, I actually asked about that. I spoke to somebody at Netflix, and they offered that deal to Wanda Sykes before this guy that does these stand-up deals even got in the position. They offered this deal to her some years ago.
Does it seem strange that you always have an answer when our finish line keeps getting moved?
When our finish line keeps getting moved?
When our finish line keeps getting moved. When I say, name me one black female comedian that's got the $1 million payday, I'm waiting to hear the answer.
Nobody.
Right, so you think it's specific to comedians? Because I don't know on Netflix any. But I can't say for sure.
In history, name her.
Well, I would ask what black female comedian has sold out 50 arenas around the world.
Well, what I would tell you
MSG?
is there's 4 beautiful black female comedians that we just got a Legends Award. Her name is Samore. Her name is Adele. Her name is Miss Laura. Her name is Monique.
I love Samore, you guys. I love Samore. I've seen her out at her shows. I've seen her quite a few times. She's very popular. Did she get that deal? Why should Tiffany Haddish get it and Samore Monique can't get it? Like, I don't understand. And Monique really deserves it out of all the comedians. She's the one with the Oscar and this long ass resume, but because motherfuckers is sidetracked with the Lee Daniels of the world and Tyler Perry and Oprah Winfrey, it's just like, oh, she don't deserve it. She's difficult. She's angry black bitch, and so on and so forth.
Comedy was on tour. See, we made history. And I don't know if you've done your homework, because we were the only female group, black, white, Latin, Asian, to sell out consecutively around this country. Mm-hmm. But you'll disregard that because you'll say, well, what did you do yesterday? See, you can't take it away.
But if I'm doing business and I'm basing it off doing a deal with somebody who did this last year as opposed to doing it 15 years ago or 20 years ago, whenever it was, wouldn't it make more sense to do it with the person who did it just a couple years ago?
If you're doing business and you say, what's Monique's resume? Now, you're the businessman. And you're looking at that resume. And everything on that resume says number 1. Everything on that resume says sell out. Now all of a sudden, is it going to change, businessman?
Yeah. If I had to sign Kobe Bryant today, I'm not going to give Kobe Bryant a $100 million contract.
Well, you're right.
But his resume is amazing.
The difference between Kobe Bryant today and Monique today is when you're 36 in the game of basketball, you done lost your step. When you are 50 years old in the game of comedy, you're seasoned.
Yeah.
And if they had to come to Netflix, to your point, because you make a very good point, and Monique had stumbled like a 40-year-old or a 38-year-old Kobe Bryant who's got a ruptured Achilles heel that you got to bounce back from, then it would make sense. But if he dropped 50 and still was dropping buckets, what would you say? Because they watched 2 standing ovations in 2 sold-out clubs.
And they still offer her $500,000. So they already saw what she was. It wasn't enough, though. It wasn't enough.
Well, you're absolutely right, Brother City. But let me ask you this: why not put together a theater or arena tour and sell that out, and then come back to the table? Our tables.
Why do you have to keep negotiating with people? Why do you have to keep? That's kind of like a man is beating your ass, and then you have to keep taking him back and telling him not to beat your ass. And why keep taking abuse from this man? Why not move out and do something on your own? Why keep trying to beg Netflix for anything? Fuck them.
Well, see, but it doesn't have to go there. See, my whole thing is that's something else. We were talking about the money offered. And my whole thing is, as a businessman, being a legend and all that doesn't necessarily matter. It's who the people want to see.
See, they're talking specifically about Monique because she's a comedian. They're not into her. She's a woman. She's black, and so on and so forth. That's pretty much what this is.
You know what I mean?
Here would be the question. Almost Christmas. Would you say that was a hit movie?
Definitely a hit movie.
Would you say Bessie was a hit?
Yes.
Would you say Precious was a hit?
Absolutely.
So the question is, so Monique, you didn't do nothing in 2017 that was on TV that we could see. So that means you're irrelevant?
I don't think anything is irrelevant. Not at all.
What happens is...
See how he backtracking?
If you see these number ones, and here's where, when someone said to me, Monique, does it become disheartening when it's your folks? It's understandable. I don't take offense. It's understandable, and I'll explain why. When I have to sit here and not defend, but explain to people that look like me, well, when did I become irrelevant? If there was a movie I'll call Almost Christmas, what, in 2016? This is 2018. So now all of a sudden, oh, we don't know if people are going to show up and show out. Now, when I did a show called The Bernie and Sid Show, I'm sure you know those brothers, 2 white brothers. And when I walked in there, Leonard, I walked in with a preconceived notion that I was going to have to defend myself.
Correct.
Because one is a strong Trump supporter and the other is a Democrat. But I'm thinking I'm going to have to walk in and defend myself with these white brothers. After 5 minutes of us talking, they shut their show down. And they said, Monique, we're going to call this what this is. This is nothing but racism. And we can't sit back and allow it and watch it happen.
And I believe I watched that. And they supported Monique. You know, so there are some white people out in the world, you guys, that get this. A lot don't, but there are some. Because, you know, I have talked to some. You know, so it's ridiculous that those white men understood this situation. But yet Monique can't get the backing from her own people.
So no, we're going to tell our listeners to boycott Netflix until they get it right, because you are a legend, and we have to honor and respect you. Now, those are my white brothers. Then when I was in San Jose with some of my Latin brothers, they did the same thing. They shut their show down because they said, we got to call it for what it is. See, Monique, we've grown up watching you. We've grown up and you've made us feel better. We've grown up and our children are now watching you. Then I come to my folks. And I have to be donkey of the day, which you still haven't explained, Leonard, and you're going to have to. Because when you make those type of statements about your sister to our community, what you're saying to the community is, as black women, you're devalued. And if you stand up and you make a stand and you say, we need equality, and we have to say what's right and what's fair. And then a brother that looks like me from South Carolina says, you're the donkey of the day. You have to explain that to our community.
I've explained it. I said that I think that you're using racial and gender bias, which are actual real issues. The struggle that the black woman is going through in many industries is a real issue, but you're using it to focus on something that you're dealing with individually.
Leonard, did you just see Viola Davis come out and say pay her equally? Did you just hear that?
Exactly. Viola Davis, you guys, has come out and stated that, like I said before, she was compared to being the black Meryl Streep, and she's like, well, shit, I can't tell. I don't have her fucking money. You know, my body of work is similar to hers, and to me, she's a way better actress than Meryl Streep. And this is what I'm saying, you guys. Some of these white people, they can just be as mediocre. They can, you know, some of them work hard, but to me, their work is not as good as a lot of people that are black. Okay? I'm just being honest. They're not. Black people, we are some colorful, entertaining people. We just are. And it's just sad that Viola Davis spoke out on this issue and everybody understands where she's coming from. But because it's Monique, and I actually saw the stupid ass comments made on Facebook, oh, well, Viola isn't into it with people. And see, this is how we get sidetracked. This is how we get distracted. And a lot of these white people, they want you guys to get distracted. And you niggas, you get distracted real quick because you always take your eyes off the prize and off the title and off the subject, and then you go on into fairy tale land, and you know, you want to listen to what the naysayers are saying, and all of it comes down to, you guys, is fear. People don't want to address certain situations because they know that they will have to do something about the situation. So why even address it? Let's just pretend it doesn't exist. Oh, it's not my fight. And did you hear what Charlemagne said? This is something specific to Monique. No, it isn't. This is about all black women, because she honestly could have took the $500,000 and just went on about her business. She's speaking out for the black women, the black comedians, the Samores, the Tiffany Haddishes, the Wanda Sykes, and, all the other people, women that's out, Adele Givens, like all the other comedians, so when she took a stand, this is an Oscar award winning actress. She didn't have to do that. She has the accolades. So it's a lot of people would say, well, just shut up, bitch, and just be happy. But no, that's what I like about Monique, that she stands for something. And I can't say that about a lot of people. A lot of people will go along to get along and see the shit is wrong.
Absolutely. So when you have us saying the same thing, we're saying pay us equally. You're saying, oh, Monique, this is an isolated situation. Well, then what that says is you don't know the history of this business that you're in. And you sit behind this microphone and you try to be the guru of black culture. I'm going to need you to know the history of us before you begin to label us. And once you know the history, I'm not saying anything unique, brother.
I just don't understand how you can justify making $13 million in 2018 for a stand-up special.
Well, here's the thing. If Netflix, when you say justify $13 million, did you get a chance to read what the offer was?
I did read some of it, yes.
I read some of it. This motherfucker didn't even read all of it.
Well,
you should have read all of it.
The key is we got to read all of it, because what Chris Rock said a long time ago, if you want to hire something from a black person, put it in the book. But when you want to be thorough about what you're doing, then you would read it. What's happening is this. This is not about comparing the definitive numbers as to what Amy got and what Dave and them got, because it's merit to what you just communicated. But when you ask a comedian to take $500,000 for 2 years, you can't say any jokes. They don't want you to do stand-up for 2 years. And essentially, they want you to take $500,000 and lose out on $2 million of work that you would have made on the road anyway. That right there, it doesn't make sense.
Well, did y'all make a $$2 million deal?
It didn't have to be a $20 million deal.
Wait a minute, baby. He just asked, did we make a counter offer? And that's a very important question.
Yeah, did you make a counter offer?
I did see that they responded to the counter offer and said they regretfully won't be able to do this deal. Hopefully you guys could work together in the future.
And that's the point that we have to make to you, Leonard.
But in addition to that, my love,
go ahead, Dad.
And this is in conjunction with Roland Martin and John Mary putting out a rumor that Monique was offered $3 million, and then didn't have the decency as journalists to come back and say, we apologize for the misinformation. Because if you notice, Monique keeps producing receipts. And as crazy as this sounds, this is a bigger picture than just Netflix, because what has happened was, you've heard about Lee Daniels coming out speaking in reference to how difficult Monique was and the whole nine. We live in a culture in which the ladies who are going up in a room saying #MeToo, and people are saying, well, if you're going up in a room at 2 o'clock in the morning, you're about to get screwed. So why do you go up there and do it? But what happens is they'll say to Monique, why didn't you go promote a movie for Lionsgate for free? Because you know what they'll do to you. So now you're in a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation. Because the women who go up in the room, the reason why they go up in the room, they know they're going to get screwed when they go up in the room. They just don't know how bad they're going to get screwed if they don't go up in the room.
Okay, I want to end it right there, you guys. You guys pretty much, get where everybody is coming from. And I just want to wrap this up very briefly. Did you hear where Netflix, they wanted her to take the $500,000, and that's all the money she would pretty much be able to make for the 2 years. That's not enough for somebody like Monique. you know, she wouldn't be able to use those same jokes. You know, you guys know that a lot of comedians, when they go out on tours and stuff, they use those same jokes. That is their act. That is how they get their money. And so everything would just come down to the Netflix deal, and she would have to come up with completely new material for those next couple of years. So if she would have took that money, she would have been stuck. You know what I'm saying? So it wasn't a good deal. It wasn't enough money, because if they would have offered her more money, millions, 10 million, 15 million, then it would have made sense. But the 500,000 was a big screw you, was a big fuck you, because it would have left her stuck. And you can't use the material. It was so much stuff of what she couldn't do. You know, she was just stuck. It was pretty much like a artist, R&B or rap artist, their little slave contract. Can't do this, can't do that. You know, the record label pretty much owns that person. We all heard of, you know, different groups that struggle. TLC, even Toni Braxton, she struggled with her first deal because there's so much in these contracts of which you can't do, and the labels, they own you. You know what I'm saying? She would have been Netflix little bitch. That's not enough money in a 2-year period. And then she could double up on the money by going out on tour, getting a Netflix check and going out on tour, and they wouldn't have allowed that. So it was a sucky deal. I don't give a fuck what nobody says. She should have got way more than the 500,000. She should have got something between the effects of if they give it Amy Schumer 13 million, give Monique 15 million. You know, 20 million. I don't give a fuck. Just more than Amy Schumer, because she's way more talented than her. She should have got way more than that 500,000. All right, you guys, that's pretty much what I have to say on this. Thank you for hanging in there with me on this situation. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. It is your girl Brand New, and I'm out.